Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you guys are doing well as always, and I'm back with another video, and this time it's gonna be a deck guide video for Revengers. And I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this deck guide just because, you know, Revengers is a really popular archetype. A lot of people like Revengers, and a lot of people like Shadow Paladin in general, including myself. And in my opinion, Revengers is the strongest deck that you can build in set 12. So it's not just the strongest deck in set 12, in my opinion it's the strongest deck in the game right now. So of course Shadow Revengers is in tier 1, so is Narukami, which is Eradicators, is still in tier 1, and I just think that Shadow is really good against all the decks right now, especially against Narukami, against Link Joker, and it's just a really good deck that perform in tournaments and even in rank, and it can be quite pricey because there's a total of 12 triple rare at least. But the good news is if you play the rank last season, which they give out Blaster Dark Revengers as their rank reward, then you pretty much cover 4 triple rare already if you manage to grind enough copy of it. And of course, before we take a look at the gameplay first, we shall take a look at the deck list. Okay, so here's the list. As you can see, a pretty simple list. You know, nowadays everyone Revenger deck list look the same. It's either they have different starter or they run Nemain or not. And as you can see, my starter is Creeping Dark Goat, which is your grade 3 searcher. And I see a lot of people running Claudius as their starter, which is the one that Superior call you a Blaster Dark Revenger from your deck. And don't get me wrong, that is a good starter, but in my opinion, I think Creeping Dark Goat might be a better option just because you can get a grade 3. And getting a grade 3 is huge, especially if you're playing a Raging Form deck, since you need a Persona Blast to use as Limit Break skill. And so grade 3 searcher is really good. Like I say, you can get your second copy of Raging Form or even the first copy, and you can even get a Break Right if you don't have your Break Right, since you do want to write your Break Right as your first grade 3 Vanguard. And before we take a deeper look in the deck list, let's take a look at the main card of this deck, which is going to be Raging Form Dragon. So this is a really strong card. The skill is Limit Break 4. When this unit attack finish, you can retire 3 of your Revenger Rearguards, and you Superior Right himself from your hand to the Vanguard circle, and then you draw 2 cards and it gains 10,000 power. So it's kind of like a resender, but not really because you Superior Right over itself, so you can't really get trigger and give it to the Vanguard and hope to use the trigger bonuses to push for more damage. So the second attack will always be 21k or 24k, because when this unit attack it gains 3000 power as well. And of course that is a bonus skill which we don't have in the TCG version, which is retire 3 Rearguards, not 3 Rearguards, retire 3 Revenger Rearguards during your main phase, and you can search himself to your hand. And of course, when you add himself to your hand, it's not from your deck, it just gives you from thin air. As always, nowadays you don't really add cards from your deck to your hand, so it just give it to you for free beside paying the cost. So this is a really good card just because you can push for 4 damage in a turn, or even less than that, but in general you have 4 attacks, so that's really good. And of course, you get to filter your deck as well. Okay, so the other support card for Raging Form Dragon is gonna be Moderate Phantom. So Moderate Phantom is a really good Break Right, because this is the only Break Right you can play in Shadow Paladin right now. The skill is Limit Break 4, Break Right. When you wear a grade 3, it gains 10,000 power, and you can search your deck for a grade 2 and below and call it to the Rearguard circle and gain 5,000 power. And of course, when this unit attack, it gains 3,000 power as well. So this is really good because it can Superior call you anything. You can call your Blaster Dark, Revenger, or even your Nemain if you run it, because it's really good since you don't have to call a Revenger Rearguard. And of course, you play your heal trigger. You just play him because you want Revenger card in your deck. And of course, this can be your backup win condition, as the skill is Limit Break 4. When this unit attack, you can retire 1 Revenger Rearguard and it gain 5,000 power and a crit. And of course, it have the same ability as the other 2 grade 3, which is when attack, it gains 3,000 power. And I'm just playing a one-off copy of Dark Mage. You know, this is a really clutch card. It can be if you are running low in hand size. You never know what you might get from your top card of the deck. It might give you a Blaster Dark Revenger, it might give you a Tattooed, it might even give you Nemain, which are all value cards. Okay, now let's move on to the grade 2. So grade 2, very important, you have to run 4 copy of Blaster Dark Revenger. As you can see, I'm missing 2 copy, that is why I grind the rank to Legend 20, so I have 2 copy of the alternate art version. So total 4 copy of Blaster Dark Revenger. And another super important card, which I think you have to run 4, I guarantee you have to run 4, which is Tattooed. So Tattooed is a really good card, it's better than Maka because it's Counter Blast 2, this is only Counter Blast 1. And of course, you run 3 copy of your 12k attacker for your Revengers, and as you can see, I run 2 copy of Nemain. You can't retire Nemain because it's not Revenger, but most of the time when you go for a Raging Form skill, you are going to retire 3 Rearguards from your back row. So since Nemain is a grade 2, so it's going to be on the front row, so it's not that big of a deal. But if you don't have Nemain, you can play the Revenger 10k vanilla if you like. So now for grade 1, you have to run 4 copy of Dorian. This is a really important card because this is your only way you can counter charge in this deck. And potentially also make your Revenger, your Blaster Dark Revenger Counter Blast 2 into a Counter Blast 1. And of course we got 4 PG, we run 3 copy of the 10k attacker and 2 copy of Dark Core Trumpeter. So this is really good because it's a value card as well. Counters 1, you get to Superior Core. One of those 4 Grade 0 card in rest position. So most of the time you're going to be using this to retire your rear guard. For example, you want to search for extra Raging Form. So this card will come in very handy. Okay, so how you win with this deck is pretty simple. So obviously you want to ride your Moderate Phantom as your first Grade 3. And once you got 4 damage, you want to try to go for the kill. So you're going to break ride your Raging Form Dragon over Moderate Phantom. And then you're going to search or blast up with Vanguard from your deck and Superior Core to a column where you have your Grade 1 Dorian. And that's where you only count +1 and retire one of their front row Grade 2 and potentially try to finish off the game there. Okay, I guess that pretty much sums up for the deck list. So same as always, I do have a few games to show you guys. I have a total of 4 this time. That's pretty much the most so far. So I have a game where I fight against Narukami, which is the tier 1 deck right now. I have a game where I fight against Revenger, which is Mirror Match, which is also tier 1. And also I have 2 other games, which is against Link Joker and Gold Paladin. So you guys can decide which one you want to watch, as I have the timestamp in the description box down below. But I do highly recommend watching all 4 matches, just because all the situations are different and you guys might be able to learn some things against those matchups. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin the first game. Alright, as you can see, the first game is going to be against Link Joker, and this is probably the best matchup you can ever get when you are playing with Vanguard, just because you can eat your own rearguard and prevent your opponent from blocking your rearguard circle. So here, a pretty good hand, and I think it's going to be a full kit because there's no reason to take any risk, and since I'm playing Creeping Dark Goat, I can be more flexible when I mulligan for my starting hand. So here I'm just missing a Grade 2 and my Moderate Phantom, which I can get from Creeping Dark Goat, so just hoping to join the Grade 2 because running Tattooed might not be the ideal ride, since you always want to use your Tattooed skill to call your Clouders, and you don't want your Clouders behind your Vanguard. And here I'm just gonna put my Creeping Dark Goat at the right hand side corner, just because, you know, there's no reason to put it behind my Vanguard at the moment, since I do want to go for aggressive approach. So against Link Joker, another way to fight against them is to rush them to 4 before they ride their Break Ride Grade 3, just because by the time they ride their Grade 3, if they're at 4, they're probably gonna die before they can lock you. And here I'm pretty surprised to see that he run Morpheus Breath Dragon. And because of that, my front row is going to get locked, but it's not that big of a deal. Locking the front row is fine in the early stages. And here we check a Q trigger, so he need a defensive trigger. No, he need a trigger to get through my Vanguard. And he did not get it. So pretty fair, he get a defensive, I get a defensive, so no complaints here. And here, I'm just going to write Masquerade because those other 2 Grade 2s, you want it to be on the rearguard. So here, I can use my Dark Goat skill and search for Moderate Phantom, which we did not get, but you know, getting a second copy of Raging Form Dragon is not that bad. And here, I do want to continue pushing, but at the same time, I don't really want to call my Nimane or Tattoo because I want to use their skill. So I'm hoping for a trigger there, but I did not get any trigger, but it's fine because we can still clear his rearguard off. So, a pretty slow approach against Link Joker, but we can still win because as long as we don't overcall. So against Link Joker, you don't want to call 3 rearguards against them. And here he did not ride. So it's either he misread or he want to lock my front row. So I have totally no idea. But locking my front row is alright. It's not that big of a deal. And here, like I say, I don't really want to call 3 rearguard. So obviously my right is going to be Raging Form Dragon. And here, you can see I'm going to call my Grade 3. So I'm going to pause here for a moment. So I honestly don't like this play just because against Link Joker, right, you want to call your Grade 2 and not your Grade 3, so that when your Grade 2 get locked, the moment it got unlocked, you still have an intercept. That means your opponent can't push as hard as they want to if they don't have any more access to the ability to lock. But since you call Grade 3, so when it unlock, they can push multiple damage to your face. So I think what I will do there is probably Tattooed, even though I say don't call more than 3 rearguards, but because our first Vanguard is Raging Form, we can eat 3 rearguards if you want to, and set up a board where there's only 2 rearguard when he go to 4 damage. Just something I want to mention. Although this play is still fine, but I might get punched in the long run. And here I'm going to put into 4, because you do want to rush him, like I say. And if he ride his Nebula, he can't lock me. if he ride his chain ride, he can lock my 2 rear guards, which is fine. And if he ride his break ride, he can lock me as well. So let's see what he ride. So here he ride infantry. I have no clue how to pronounce his name, which I don't expect because I thought he was going to ride a better grade 3. And because he rides that, he can lock my front row. But what caught me by surprise is he played that grade 2 butterfly, which on attack hit he can lock a cut. Which is why I say you should call the grade 2, because if you don't call grade 2, you're going to get punished by that cut, since it's going to hit your Vanguard first. And here I get a trigger, which is really good because now he will need a trigger to put me to 4 damage. And he did, which is fine. Although, do I really want to use my Raging Form skill? I don't think I want to. And also you notice he called the PG down as a booster. So he's pretty desperate to lock me. And I can assume he have at least 1 PG in his hand, otherwise I don't think he would do that. Ooh, the Blessed Lockjaw is really good. So here, my hand is looking pretty alright, although I'm looking for PG, so I do believe I'm going to call the Nemain down to try to fish for at least 1 more PG. Otherwise, if he can lock my rearguard again, no, he don't even need to lock my rearguard because my front row have no grade 2. So the moment I got unlocked, he can push 3 damage to my face and I only got 1 PG, so I need another PG. We did not draw it, that's too bad. But you know what, I'm going to call the Dark and retire 1 of his grade 2. And I'm not going to use a Raging Form skill just because he only have 2 open counters and I don't want to put him to 3 so that if I put him to 3, I can get punished if he have 2 copies of the Chain Ride grade 3. So here, hoping for a heal trigger or draw into PG. Ooh, no trigger, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. So not looking too good here. Okay, so he did not write any new grade 3, which is fine. He can stay at the 10k grade 3, which have no effect anymore. Holy shit, he just called another PG down. So I guess it's a do or die situation for him right now. And I'm surprised to see he attacked with his rearguard first because he can't check any more heal trigger now. And here I got really lucky with a damage trigger. And if I don't get that defensive trigger, I will have lost the game. Unless my next card is heal. So I got really lucky there, and because of that, I'm gonna win the game. Because I have 4 attack coming to his face. And he have no grade 2s. And he caught 2 PG. That means he can't really survive. I don't think he have any more PG. And here we go, we top deck another PG. So as you can see, I'm just gonna win from here. I don't think I need to explain anymore. Although I'm trying my best not to misplay in case he survives somehow with like a double heal or something. I do like a 21k column for my Vanguard in case he get a defensive trigger. I can just call my... Okay, I guess I'm gonna tin my deck with Tattoos. Just because, you know, in case somehow he survives, I want my front row to be intact with grade 2s so that I can still survive if he survives. And here he did get a defensive trigger, which we did play around because we call our 7k behind our Vanguard to make a perfect 21k column. So here he will need 2 PG, but if you get a trigger, he will need 3 PG to survive. Okay, a trigger, that's game, I guess. Yep, like we predicted, he don't have any more PG because he committed his PG to boost his rearguard and potentially close the game, which he failed to because we got lucky, like I say. Without the defensive trigger we got there, we would have lost the game. So a pretty close game. I did point out a few things that I don't like about my plays. And I guess this concludes game 1, so now let's move on to game 2. Okay, so second game is gonna be a mirror match. He don't have the new Ren skin, which you can claim for 50 silver medals. And I'm pretty sure it's only available this month, so if you want your Ren skin, make sure to go claim it or exchange for it. So pretty good hand. I think I'm gonna mulligan my grade 3 away because against mirror match, you want to have your PG in your hand because you need to have 2 runs when they are going for the kill. Because most of the time in mirror match, they are gonna go for the kill when you're at 3 damage because they do not want to let you break, right? And I can afford to mulligan more greedier just because I run the Dark Goat. So even I don't get a grade 3, it's fine because I can use my Creeping Dark Goat to search for grade 3. And here we got 2 PG, which is really good in mirror match. Pretty much in mirror match, who got more PG will probably win the game. Unless they have a bad grade 3 ride on their turn 3. So here, as you can see, he's running Claudius as his starter, which I see most people run, but I'm not gonna like call him out or anything because it is still a good starter and everyone have their own opinion what starter they want to run. So here he's gonna rush me, which is not a bad play honestly. And here I'm hoping he don't have Masquerade, okay, which is good because it's only gonna put us to 2 damage. So that's fine. A heal trigger, really good for him, but it's alright. The game is still early. I'm just hoping for either draw. You know what, I don't even need a trigger, it's fine. And I feel like against Creeping Dark Gold, right, you don't really want to push them so hard because by giving 2 Counter Blast, they can use their Dark Gold and their Tattooed. But instead, if you give them 1 Counter Blast, they can only choose either one. And here I'm going to call my Tattooed. And as much as I want to push for more damage to him, I don't have any more Vanguards to call because you never want to call your Blaster Duck down unless you have to use his skill. Or unless you have a column of Dorian where you want to counter charge, otherwise just don't call it to an empty column in general. So only going to put him to 1 damage. So I'm going to start off really slow because as you can see we have 4 Grade 3 in our hand. And also if you notice, we did not get our Mordred Phantom from our Creeping Dark Gold, so that's kind of yikes. Oh, that 19k column is going to hurt because it's going to guarantee him to put me to 4 damage unless we check a heal. Which we only left 2, so I highly doubt so. Oh, he just checked 2 PGs. That's good sign. That's good sign. Oh my god, that's our third heal. We just drew 3 heal triggers, Jesus Christ. But it's fine, it's fine. No heal trigger. No surprise there, we only left 1, so we can't really expect much. Oh, the top deck. I'm gonna write my Mordred, of course, and I'm gonna call my Duck and burn his Claudius. Or even Dorian, both are fine burn. I think I'm gonna burn the Dorian, yeah. Because Claudius without Dorian is kind of expensive. Counter Blast 1, and if you want to use Faster Ducks, use Counter Blast 2. So there's a total of 3 Counter Blasts. And the reason why I burn his back row and not his Grade 2 is because I want to push him to 3 damage only, not 4. Because I do not want to give him break, right? And we get a trigger, which is good. This guarantees us that we can put him to 3 damage even though he gets defensive trigger. A draw, which is fine. His hand is not looking that great because he only has 4 cards after his turn. So he did check 2 PG and I can break right and call a Blaster Duck and burn one of his Grade 2 if he have a Grade 2. Okay, so he's going to use his starter skill and his Blaster Duck skill, which is a total of 3 Counter Blasts like I said just now, and he's going to burn my Dorian, which is a smart burn because now if I break right my Blaster Duck, I need to Counter Blast 2 instead of 1. And here he only got 1 Grade 2, which is not looking that good for him. Because if I break right, call my Duck, burn his Grade 2, after 4 attack, he's at 3 damage. And since I have 4 attack, he will need 2 PG to survive, and he checked 2 already. So I do not know if he can survive, but if he can get a defensive trigger, he have a chance to survive pretty much. So there's the issue with Raging Form. If you want to kill your opponent from 3, if you get a defensive trigger, he's gonna become 26, and once you override your Grade 3 Raging Form Dragon, it's gonna be 21k. That means you need a trigger to get past his defensive trigger. So here I'm just gonna go all in. It's either I win this turn or I lose, so I'm just gonna call my PG down. And sadly I don't have a 7k booster, so I'm praying to god he don't get a defensive trigger here, otherwise my right column can't attack his Vanguard. Okay, lucky us. No trigger, that's good. Okay, 2 non-trigger, that's pretty sad for him. So I'm just going to attack without boost, there's no reason to boost. In case you don't have PG and 6 damage heal, we have still a booster to push through his 6 damage heal. A draw. Okay, pretty decent. And here I should just retire 3 rear guard. Doesn't matter what I retire, just keep my Grade 2 in the front row. Doesn't really matter. Oh, we draw into an RPG, and if you notice, we draw into our last heal. So this game, we legit drew 4 heal triggers, which is nuts. But hey, you know what? If we're aggressive enough, and he don't have all the PG in his hand, we can still win. as shown. And that's game 2, go to us. So that's pretty much how you face off against mirror match. You either have 2 PG and try to survive their finisher turn, or try to finish them off before they can even break. And I guess this concludes game 2. So now, let's take a look at game 3. Okay, so it's time for game 3, and as you can see, game 3 is gonna be a game against Narukami, which is another tier 1 deck. So most of my deck guide video, I do try to show you guys the matchup against tier 1. Oh, a pretty okay hand. Having a tattoo is really good, especially if you got another grade 2. And we top deck our grade 3, which is amazing. But still not Moderate Phantom again, and it's good that we go first just because against Narukami, they are going to burn your starter unless you go first. And of course, they are not going to damage denying you because, you know, it's just a grade 3 search. They are not afraid of that. So I'll gladly take this damage because I do want to use my Dark God skill. A draw, that's fine. You know, against Narukami, you can do the same trick against mirror match, which is to kill them from 3 if you are afraid of their break, right? Ooh, you know what? I write Masquerade, which is probably the good choice because you don't want to write your Dark, as you have more value on the rearguard circle with Dorian. And sadly, we didn't get any grade 3. We did get a grade 3, but it's not a good grade 3 from equipping Dark God. It is a heal trigger, and you are not going to write that unless you don't have a choice. And we get a draw trigger, which is good as well. So no complaints here. Let's see what's he gonna do. He's gonna push for more damage, and I'm not a fan of this because now he can't check heal trigger. I mean, he can check it, but he can't heal. Ooh, we top deck our Moderate, which is good. And no trigger from him. Pretty good turn for us, I would say. And that's our second copy Raging Form. That's amazing. So here I'm just gonna try to push as much damage as I can. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna call my main and drop my heal trigger and try to search for PG because, you know, you want PG against Narukami because of their Gauntlet Buster. And I'm just gonna call to Dorian and my Blaster Dark to unfleet a damage. And the reason why I call 2 Dorian is because, you know, I know he's gonna burn one of my Dorian with his starter skill. And you know what, you can burn it because I have 2 tattoos in my hand to call for more grade 1 booster for my deck. Okay, no trigger for me, that means he's going to 3. A draw into a Dark, which is good as well. Still looking for the PG though. Ooh, a heal, that's really good for him, but I think it's fine. It's still too early to tell, you know. Getting heal in the early stages is not as bad as getting it on the late stages. And he have his Voguing Sword Dragon, which is good. And he played Gunner, so he is the Narukami with the Gunner set in it. That means he can push for more damage, and let's see. He's probably gonna burn my grade 1, which is kinda sad because now, because of his counter charge on his right hand side column, he can burn 2 on my Dorian, which kinda sucks. So here you can see, I just damage checked my last Dorian, which is kinda sad because now we are not gonna have any more Dorian in this game. And a PG as well, not looking good. Okay, a Trumpeter. You know what? I'm just gonna use my Tattooed skill. Yep. It's a build called just a normal 7k. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna call my Dark Core Trumpeter and use its skill because, you know, I don't have any grade 1 in my hand, so I have no booster, so I'm just setting up for my next turn. And here, he's only at 2 damage, that means we can attack both of his grade 2 and 1 damage to his Vanguard, and he still can't break, right? So looking pretty good. And if you notice, his hand is really small again like our previous match. Ooh, a heal, that's really good. At the same time, it might be bad as well because he might not let us break, right? Okay, our hand is full of grade 3, and as you can see just now, my deck only left 2 trigger, 1 draw and 1 heal. and 1 PG down for him, which is good to see. So now I'm curious, would he give me 4 damage? Because I don't think you should if you can't survive, unless you want to pray that you get a defensive trigger in your 2 checks. Another gunner, okay. The fact that he called gunner, that means he's gonna push me to 5, I think. I mean, at this point, I'm just praying to God he don't check a heal here, because if he don't get a heal, there's a really high chance we win on next turn because he have no grade 2 in their front row. That means that is another 4 damage to his face. And he didn't check a heal, which is good. So now, it's either we win or we lose, so we have to go in for it. So I'm just gonna break back my Raging Form Dragon and search for Masquerade because I want a 15k column. You know, I've been thinking if I should call the main there to try to get PG, but you know, I want to get a column that can hit through his defensive trigger. That is why I call Masquerade there. And here, let's hope we don't get a trigger here. Okay, no trigger, that's good. That means he needs 2 PG to survive. So does he have those PG though? Oh, no trigger, that's sad. Okay, he have 1. Does he have another one? I'm just hoping to get PG right now. Okay, thank you. And now I'm just hoping to get a heal trigger. So in case he survives, there's still a chance that we can survive as well. Ooh, we did get a heal trigger and that's our last heal as well. So that's pretty lucky of us. And into our last draw trigger. Okay. Okay. And he don't have his PG and that is game. So like I say, when you're playing Shadow, there will be a lot of time where you can go for the kill from 3. So that is another good thing about Shadow, which is Revenger. And I guess this concludes game 3, so now it's time for the final game, so let's take a look. Okay, so for the last game, it's gonna be against Liberators, which I think is not the best matchup for us. And you will know why later on because I did do a misplay. So yeah, a pretty good hand again. I can just mulligan my grade 3, grade 1, grade 2. So every time when you mulligan, you do want to try to get 1 PG in your hand, a Tattooed, a grade 2 to right, a grade 1 to right, and Nimin will be a bonus card. You don't have to try to find grade 3 just because you run Creeping Dark good, like I said, you don't have to get a grade 3 in your starting hand. Although, having Monsieur Phantom will be nice as well. So here we got 2 Nimains, which is really awkward because you rarely use both in a game. So here you can see I put my Creeping Dark Goat behind my Vanguard. So the only time you don't put it behind your Vanguard is when Tattooed is your only grade 2 to right, because you want to use your Tattooed skill. Unless you want to use your Creeping Dark Goat skill as well. But your opponent might give you 2 damage, so you never know. Okay, he calls grade 1 behind his back row, which is interesting because he can potentially push 2 damage this turn, which he chooses not to. That means he values his grade 1 pretty highly. And here, is he gonna use his starter skill? I don't think he should, because I can't burn his starter anyways. And he can have a boost on his turn too. But he did use it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And here we did top deck our Monsieur Phantom. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna run a Blaster Dark because I still want to use my Dark Goat skill. Because you want to use it in the early stages. So the awkward thing about Dark Goat is when you have 2 Raging Form Dragon and a Monsieur Phantom in your starting hand. And that's where you find Creeping Dark Goat kind of useless because you don't really want to get any other grade 3. So most of the time you either use it to search an attacker or just replace it. And here we did get our second copy of Raging Form, which is the ideal search for us, so that's really good. And he wasted a heal, so that's good as well. Okay, so here he writes his Blaster Blade Liberator. And I'm just hoping that he don't have his Childcare attacker to make a perfect 19k column. He don't. Okay, he's taking the really slow approach, which is to push me to 1 damage. I mean, push me to 2 damage, but he only deal 1 damage in this turn. Ah, is that a second PG? I think it's our second PG. You do not want to see that. Okay, our PG is stacking, so I'm not going to complain. We got our PG, that means we can go for a riskier approach. And here, I can either use my main skill or my tattoo. So here, I decide to use my tattoo because I want to push for damage. Although, if he have another Blaster Blade Liberator, it's gonna be bad because he's gonna burn my Doreen and I don't have any Great One in my hand. A draw into a heal, not what you want to see. Another draw into a Great One, which is fine, I guess. Not Doreen, but a Great One is still good because you will need booster in general. So here he ride Gunslot, okay. That is probably the ideal ride for him as well. Okay, the moment I see the Bakao there, I'm pretty sure a Blaster Blade is coming down. So here I'm just hoping that he don't burn my Doreen, but he's still gonna burn it either ways. Because he know the combo, which is to break right and call Blaster Duck with a Doreen. So here, things looking a little bit scary just because he can move me to 4 damage and he has 2 Great 2s in his front row. And I don't think I can kill him because even if I break right and Superior Core Blaster Dark, he just need 1 PG to survive. So in my honest opinion, I think that you should only ride Raging Form Dragon if you want to go for the kill. Unless you have a backup copy, that means you have 3 copy, 1 to ride and 2 to use for your Persona Blast. So here he get a Grade 2, that means he is going to strengthen his defense for next turn as well. Okay, so here I can break right, and if you see my hand, I have 2 options, either go for the Raging Form break right or the Heal Trigger break right. And I think I will go for the Heal Trigger because I can attack both of his Grade 2 and put him to 5. But here I top deck a Moderate Phantom, which kind of screw up my play because here you can see I'm going to ride Moderate Phantom because that is the greedier approach. Because I can set up a Tattoo into a Doreen and potentially finish him off next turn, right? But what you're going to see on the next turn is that he's going to ride Gamon and potentially ruin my play. So here, I don't really want to spoil it for you guys can just watch it for yourself. But here, I do want to mention that the right play here is to break right my Heal Trigger and attack both of his Grade 2 and push 2 damage to his face so that he will be at 5. So once he's at 5, I can ride my Raging Form Dragon and then try to finish him off from there. So the reason why I break right Moderate over Moderate is because, like I say, I want to set up for my Raging Form turn, which is to call a Tatsu into a Doreen, so that I can break right again and call a Blaster Duck and burn his front row, which is a Grade 2. But what I totally forgot is he's going to break right Gamon, as you're going to see later on. Yep, so here comes Gamon. And if you know, Gamon have a skill, which is the turn that this card got on place, their rearguard can't be retired by effect. And I totally forgotten about the skill. That's why you're gonna see a misplay on my next turn. So here we are gonna survive regardless because we have a PG in our hand, luckily, otherwise we'll be screwed. So here, he's probably going to attack with his Vanguard first so that he can check the heal trigger, which I hope he don't, otherwise it's going to be tough for us to close up the game next turn. Okay, 1 PG down, that's good. 2 PG down, that is amazing. And that's a good sign because at most he have 1 PG, 1 or 2, hoping that he only got 1. And if he only have 1, we should be able to close the game out. Okay, so here it's our turn. So what will you do right now? Obviously riding your Raging Form Dragon, and what will you Superior call a Blaster Dart to burn their front row, which I totally misplay. Yep, I'm not even thinking about it, it's just a natural thing to do. Burn the Grid 2, let's go. And here, I remember I was doing something else, so I am multitasking. And then when I'm going for the kill, and then I notice, why does he have another Grade 2 on his board? I thought I burned it, but why is it still on the board? That's why I kind of am confused on that moment. So I look back and take a look. And that's where I realize of the Gamo skill. So, kind of embarrassing for you guys to see that. But the good thing is, you guys can learn from my mistake. And because of that, I should have go for the heal trigger break right and put him to 5. Because now, he only need 1 PG to survive, which I hope he don't. And honestly, I don't think I deserve to win a game, to win this game. So if I do win it, it's probably I'm lucky that he don't have a PG. So we are about to find out soon. No trigger, which is fine. You just need to check a heal trigger on this Twin Drive. Okay, good that we don't draw any heal, but I don't think I have any more heal to be honest. Okay, we do have heal trigger left, so getting a heal there is pretty lucky of us. And here you can see he don't have a single PG, oh my god, and that's how we win the game. But to be honest, if he have a PG, we would have survived either ways because we are at 4 damage and we got 2 intercept in our front row and he only have 1 counter blast, that means he can't use his Blaster Blade skill to burn my front row. And I guess this concludes the whole deck guide video. So same as always, do make sure to leave a comment down below letting me know your thoughts about this deck or this archetype in general. Have you guys tested this deck out yet? And are you guys enjoying playing Revengers or not? In my opinion, Revengers is the strongest deck right now to play, and it's probably the most fun deck for me right now because I'm a huge Revenger fan, as I used to play Revenger back in the days in TCG, but I'm not playing it anymore, so yeah. And of course, I do realize that I forgot on my animation during my battles, so I do apologize for that. And I guess this should be it. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for next video. Goodbye.